The worst kept secret in the UFC has finally been announced. Islam Makhachev will be taking on Ian Machado Garry at UFC 330 in the main event, where he will defend his welterweight belt. We've all known this for so long, and please, Islam Makhachev, save us from fucking Ian Garry. I can't stand this guy. If this guy's champ and I have to listen to this dude go, I beat Islam Makhachev and Shavkat, I ruined his career, and I have to hear his fucking annoying voice, I'm gonna fucking kill myself. But either way, I'm excited for this one. We also got it, Jillian Robertson versus Mackenzie Dern. Nobody cares about that. That might be one of the most boring matchups of all time. And I was initially hoping for AJ Brown versus Nick Sirianni for the main event or the co-main of this card. But whatever, I'll take Islam versus Ian Garry. But again, Mackenzie Dern and Jillian Robertson, that might be the worst fight ever. It's not Weili. That's the only strawweight I care about. And Dern, I guess she has a nice ass. We'll talk about that and many more later. Now, there was a ton of speculation about who Islam Makhachev will be facing next. He's been out for forever. There was speculation this guy had a hand injury. Then he said he doesn't have a hand injury. He was supposed to fight Ilya. Then that didn't fucking happen. This guy's just disappeared off the face of the earth. And I always thought for the longest time it should have been Ian Garry, but there was a part of the fan base who wanted a Michael Morales, who wanted a Carlos Prates. There was also a small minority of terrorists who wanted Kamaru Usman. Those people should fucking die. But anyway, I thought if it wasn't going to be Ian Garry, it should be Carlos Prates. Nearly finished Ian Garry in that fight. Has been such an exciting fight with a highlight reel. It's much more fun to watch and has a much bigger fan base than fucking Ian Garry. Has highlight finishes over the Jeff Neals, the Leon Edwards, and JDM. So he has two finishes over former champions. I never really understood the Michael Morales case because the Sean Brady win is very fucking good. It's aged well. But outside of that, his really only other notable win is Gilbert Burns, and it's not a good version of Gilbert Burns. It's a washed to shit Gilbert Burns. But Ian Garry, he's getting the title shot, has a great resume with wins over Jeff Neal, MVP, lost to Shavkat on short notice, beat Carlos Prates on short notice, and then just beat up on Bilal Muhammad, spamming oblique kicks, making Bilal Muhammad look like a fucking idiot out there. But I get it, he's not super exciting and hasn't finished anybody in 3 years since the D-Rod fight. But he is very skilled, and this matchup is intriguing, even though I think Islam's still going to win, mainly because 2026 has been the year of the upset. That's why I would be slightly worried for Islam Makhachev. We just saw Justin Gaethje finish Ilia Topuria, Sean Strickland beat Hamza Chimaev, even, at the end of 2025, Petr Yan dominates Merab. Who the fuck knows what's going to happen? At this point, Ian Garry could come out here in 50-45 Islam, and I'd be like, well, I guess that's what we're doing in the UFC now. Like, there are some things I'm worried about for Islam in this fight. First of all, the size of Ian Garry. He's 6'3". I think he has like a 75-inch reach. He's very long, and Islam's 5'10" with a 70.5-inch reach. So it'll be interesting to kind of see how Islam deals with the reach and the athleticism of Ian Garry, and how he kind of deals with this first round of new age welterweights who are kind of all aliens. They're long, they're tall. The Morales is, the fucking Carlos Prates is, now the Ian Garrys, because Islam's only fight so far at welterweight was against JDM, who's fairly comparable in size. I think he's like an inch taller than Islam, and I think his arms are like 2 or 3 inches longer. So he really isn't that much bigger than Islam Makhachev. Also, Ian Garry, can stuff takedowns very well, moves very well on the outside, has really elite level footwork, can wrestle, can grapple, will just point fight you and kind of break you down over the course of a fight and just win a really kind of close decision, you know what I mean? Also, that JDM win, I forgot to mention this, hasn't really aged well for Islam. So if there was some worry about him at welterweight, you'd be like, well, that JDM win really hasn't aged well. Look how bad Bilal's been, and look how shit JDM looked against Carlos Prates. Listen, JDM's going to fucking bounce back in a couple years and get the belt back. But right now, it isn't looking good for the JDM army. And Ian Garry, I'll say this, and it's kind of MVP-esque in a way. His ability to kind of point fight and stink up a fight and kind of nullify your weapons makes him very dangerous. He'll get on the mic after taking you to a close decision and say I kicked Shavkat's, I ruined his career with oblique. Like, he's such a fucking dick, but whatever. He stays on the outside so well, plays so great at range, will just pick you apart in the back foot, flicking leg kicks, flicking calf kicks to kind of break you down. We kind of saw Volk do that to Islam pretty effectively. And again, this is the first real test for Islam Makhachev at welterweight. I will say, even like Shavkat had some trouble taking down Ian Garry with kind of those upper body trips, and then eventually kind of was getting blast double legs on him, which Islam will be able to do. And Islam is a very underrated striker. I don't think this is going to be something where Ian Garry's just outclassing Islam Makhachev on the feet. You know, he had success against Volk and Dustin Poirier and can use his kicks very well to disrupt your timing. The reason why I think Ian Garry won't win this fight is because he has next to no finishing ability. His last finish was 3 years ago, where it was like a head kick followed up by ground strikes, I believe, against fucking D-Rod, who's not very good. Guy got fucking dropped by Kevin Holland, if I remember correctly. And I don't even think Ian Garry could knock out my mom or like fucking Jose Medina. The guy he has next to no power in his hands. Not a guy who really has great submission game, despite being a pretty great and underrated grappler. And even if even if I would say one of his more underrated tools is grappling, like Islam Makhachev will destroy you on the ground, and he's beat guys who are very accomplished and submitted them who are BJJ practitioners, from your Moicanos to your Charles Oliveira, a guy who's trained with Ian Garry. And I think another thing that worries me about Ian Garry is how often he kind of dances around on the outside along the fence. And Islam, his best takedowns come along the fence. He's not like some guy who's getting an insane amount of takedowns in the open mat. I could just see him blasting a double leg and dumping Ian Garry pretty badly against the fence. And you haven't really seen Ian Garry fight a guy who takes a really heavy grappling wrestling approach to him. You're like, Shavkat can grapple, but he's mostly a striker. I know he mixing the grappling well. And like Bilal sucks. I mean, his footwork's terrible. He's slow. He was like shooting double legs from like a mile away. Doesn't know how to cut off the cage. So it's not really like comparable to Islam Makhachev. And I've never liked Ian Garry, by the way. You know, anytime I kind of make fun of Ian Garry on Instagram, why don't you like Ian Garry? He's so good. He's so nice. First of all, I think he kind of puts on this fake nice guy persona. He's had multiple problems with like 100 different gyms, whether it was like Kill Cliff or when he was working out with Leon Edwards' gym. First of all, this guy wore a shirt with Jeff Neal's mugshot out while he was carrying his kid. He called Neil Magny a deadbeat father and then said he beat his kids or something along those lines. Reposts clips of him oblique kicking and destroying Shavkat's knee on his Instagram story, and then just laughs. I was like, I ended his career and he's never been the same since he fought me. And then the weird, like, the wife shit. I don't really care much for that, but it is odd where like her ex-husband lives with them and is like Ian's nutritionist, and I think he made him fucking vegan. Like it's all weird. Everything about Ian Garry I just find kind of odd and a little bit disingenuous. He'll like go at people in his Instagram comment sections. He's just angry all the time. But once Ian Garry, who does have great scramble ability, like tries to scramble to get back up after getting taken down, Islam could punish you pretty badly if you scramble and get in bad position with him, like what he did to Dustin. And you know, Ian will have a big size advantage in this one, but the lack of finishing power just makes me think he really can't win this one. You know, he'll flick the jab, randomly blitz in, throw calf kicks, but even if he blitzes in, I think Islam will just take him down, take his back, and then make Ian Garry say goodnight. Islam, like, I could see a world where he does lose this fight, where he's struggling to get takedowns early. Ian's kind of stinging him with the jab on the outside, flicking kicks. His movement is just too much. You got fucking, you know, Islam's getting frustrated. Khabib's yelling, and he's just getting pissed off in the fucking corner, yelling, and, you know, you got to take, I can't do it, fucking brother. You got to take him down, brother. And Ian wins a close decision, but I just think Islam is so good and game plans so well that it won't happen. You know what I mean? He understands the moment. You know, he's humble. He's kind of seen the way Ilya and Hamzat have talked about Strickland and Gaethje before their fights, where they kind of made it like a sure thing they were going to win. He's not going to underestimate Ian Garry, because he does know, even though Ian Garry isn't the most dangerous guy like a Prates or a Morales who will finish you, he is the most well-rounded of the bunch. Is probably like, what the fuck did I just spit up? Probably quote unquote the best fighter of the bunch, you know what I mean? Where he can do a little bit of everything. You know, he's a jack of all trades, other than the fact that he has no finishing ability whatsoever. And I'll do like a quick word on Jillian Robertson versus Mackenzie Dern. Jillian Robertson, like, she's been on a nice run. I believe she's Canadian. What'd she fight? Amanda Lemos in her last fight? Like, whatever. I don't really feel that strongly for her. Mackenzie Dern, I also don't think is very good, but did a pretty good job against Verna Jandiroba and was able to win that one. This should be, I think she's going to win this one. She has pretty good takedown defense. Jillian Robertson can't really strike whatsoever, so I kind of expect Mackenzie Dern to mostly keep this fight on the feet, stuff the takedowns, and probably win this one by a lame decision. But it is ridiculous, I will say, because I haven't seen a ton of people mention this. Like, when are Merab and Petr Yan gonna have the trilogy? Because I know Merab was having problems with his nose, but he's ready to go. And I know Petr Yan got that back surgery or the spine surgery or whatever. So, like, I wouldn't have been... I kind of was thinking, this is too much to ask from the UFC. We were gonna get Islam versus Ian Garry in the main event, and then maybe we get Petr Yan versus Merab in the co-main, because it's like, when is that going to happen? It's going to happen in September. It's going to happen in October. We're going to have to wait till November. I don't think the time off is necessarily bad for Merab because he was fighting so much, but he is old. And I do think, I think Petr Yan's going to beat Merab in the rematch. I think that nose thing, the broken nose is a real problem for Merab. I think I could see like a late doctor's stoppage just because it's so fucking bloody and it busted up. But one thing I haven't really seen people mention when they just kind of continuously count on Merab is like, what is Petr Yan going to look like back from this back surgery? Like, what if he looks so fucking old and rusty in there and then Merab derails things to the bantamweight division? Because I know a lot of people want to see Petr Yan win, and then we're getting then we're getting Sean O'Malley fighting Petr Yan for the belt sometime early next year, and then we're getting maybe Merab versus Umar too. That's kind of a fun grudge match. Either way, I just wish that was the co-main for this event. I don't know where the fuck Petr Yan and Merab are going to fight again. Merab's ready. I haven't really heard anything Petr Yan. I'm not necessarily blaming him. He's got to recover from surgery. But I would like a little bit of an update on when the fuck these guys are going to fight again. Because who the fuck wants to watch Mackenzie Dern versus Jillian Robertson? I can't think of a worse title fight in recent memory. Like, there's definitely no men's that are this bad. Like, I can't even think of a women's one. That, like, I know people might say, like, Esparza versus Nama Yunus is up there. I can't think of a worse, because Mackenzie Dern isn't even the fucking best strawweight. It's Weili. And also, it just kind of goes to show you, like, the women's MMA is just dead. There's no juice for this matchup. No juice whatsoever for women's mixed martial arts. I'm not necessarily the biggest, like, advocate for it, because I do think it's pretty boring. But at the same time, like, there are a couple of pretty fun and exciting women's MMA fighters. And then it kind of has gotten fucked up with, Valentina smudging Weili for 5 rounds was one of the worst fights you've ever seen. And then, Kayla hurting her neck in training, and now we don't know when she's coming back, hopefully soon, because at least her versus Amanda Nunes, that's exciting. Like, I actually am fairly excited for that one. But Mackenzie Dern versus Jillian Robertson has the least amount of juice of pretty much any fucking fight in the history of the UFC. Wish we got to see Merab versus Petr Yan. That's kind of my quick thoughts on the UFC 330 news. I'm excited for Ian Garry versus Islam. Like, obviously, I kind of wish Prates was there, but Ian Garry is the most deserving. I think he poses some interesting interesting qualities that he can use against Islam, like his size, his ability to stuff takedowns, grapple, point fight, and kind of just stink up fights, neutralize your weapons, and somehow win. But yeah, I think Islam's still going to win. It'll probably be like a close decision, my guess, because Ian Garry, I still think, can win 2 rounds off of Islam just by fucking being boring and landing 6 punches and doing nothing and acting like he busted Merab's face up. But whatever, that's the world we live in. Ian Garry is just a slightly more entertaining MVP. Actually, he's more entertaining than MVP. I apologize, Ian Garry, for comparing you to a little fucking terrorist. Either way, it's my reaction to UFC 330. If you're new here, remember to like, comment, subscribe. Interested to see how the rest of this card plays out. Maybe we get AJ Brown versus Nick Sirianni in like the feature fight or something. But again, let me know what you guys think down below. The doctor is signing off.